This conference will now be recorded.
Hi, everyone, and welcome. We are so glad to have you here. We have Hannah Garrison again, who is an artist and an MS activist, who is going to be teaching us a beautiful dusk sunset summer landscape, if I pronounced that correctly. And Hannah, I'm going to throw it just straight to you so we can get our art on.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Alexa. I guess we can get started. We do have this lovely dusk sunset, and it was requested that I make some sort of painting that had some sort of beach scene in it. So that is exactly what I set out to do. So I hope you guys enjoy it. I will just go ahead and give you guys a quick run through of what colors that I have here, as well as what supplies you guys might be needing. And of course, because of the differences in brands and the differences in brush sizes, I'm just going to throw the colors in the general ballpark. So yours might turn out pretty differently from mine, maybe a little bit differently depending on your piece as well. So I have here at the top corner, I have some purple, and over here in the middle here, some pink. I have some orange down here, and it even like overlaps the blue that you see. And that's the part that's actually my favorite part right there. It's the overlap. It also can be the scariest part, so don't get too scared. There's nothing wrong here. So we can do, so we also have light blue that sort of bleeds down into here. And then an optional dark blue. You totally don't have to have a dark blue, but it gives like a different sort of feel for the ocean. And if you happen to not have dark blue, that's okay, because you can always blend it in with the purple up here. That works perfectly as well. So I have the colors for you. You're also going to need some sort of hard paper, like a cardstock or perhaps a watercolor paper, anything that's a little more heavy. If you use like a regular copy paper or anything normal, then it's probably going to wrinkle a little bit. So if you don't mind the wrinkles, then that's perfectly fine too. And as far as brushes are concerned, I know that people's brush collection may be very small or little, and that's okay. I always design my paintings to be very flexible in that regard. So I also have a bunch of brushes here. Personally, I will be using this one. It's more of like a medium-ish size. So you can kind of see it's a little smaller than my finger right here. Not like pinky size, maybe. Pinky width. If you happen to have a round brush, you may also use that as well. And if anybody happens to have a brush other than this one right here, then please let me know and I'd be more than happy to show you how to use it. So I'm very flexible. I tend to talk a little bit much, so
And
feel free to
Hannah,
interrupt me as well. Yes.
we have two people who are going to be using colored pencil, and I told them you can totally do this with colored pencil.
Yes. Now, definitely you'll have to like color a little bit more, but with the layering aspect, it's definitely doable. So color a little bit more, rest your hand a little bit if it gets to be a little bit much, because sometimes it's a big amount of space. So be gentle with yourself there. And I would say probably do the same layer, like I know I mentioned layers, but like the same colors that we're going through one at a time, you can do it color by color that way too. So I hope that clears up a little bit. If you're using color pencil, then you can also do the same thing, follow along and do the palm trees as well whenever we do the palm trees, which will be actually much later, believe it or not. So, you know what, actually, I might want to do the palm trees right now, actually. I think I'm gonna do that first. What else did I have? If you're using paints, then I also have a paper plate with me, and I have some water. Normally, I would have some napkins with me, but I forgot them because that's what happens. I have MS, but I don't think that's an MS thing. I think that's a me thing. So I forgot them. So if you have napkins, I definitely recommend that because we will be using a lot of water. So be very wary of that as well. Is there anybody here who is using watercolor? If not, that's okay. Perfect. Just wanted to see. I'm excited. I think I'm ready to start. Are you guys ready to start? Yeah. All right. So I mentioned crayons or color pencil. I mentioned the beach scene. So we can actually do that beach scene first. You can use black paint. You can use, I'm sorry, not paint, a black marker or a black crayon or a black color pencil or anywhere that's kind of close. As long as it's dark, it's perfectly fine. I happen to have crayons here, so I'm gonna look through my stuff and look for black, but honestly, I think I only have like one black out of a lot of colors. Like I carry all my crayons in like
And
a
also,
big
everyone, if you want to
big bag here.
see Hannah's picture more clearly, you can, at the top, there's a different view settings. There's view everyone, who's talking, active cameras, and hide everyone. If you click who's talking, you'll see Hannah's picture bigger, the picture she's working on.
Yeah, that's some good advice. I do recommend you do that view as well. That way you can see it up close. Oh, yay, I found it. All right. So this part of the painting is a lot easier than it may seem because I am a big fan of scribbling. I feel like life is too short to do everything perfectly. So I just like to scribble my way through life, and that's how I sort of see it. Same thing goes with coloring. I scribble everywhere. So let me set this aside, or maybe like, there we go, show it side by side. Now, our little island here is kind of in the middle, but I think it's more a little bit lower than the middle. So if you just want to sort of estimate where your island might be, it's pretty thin. It doesn't take a very large amount of the paper. If I scooch that there, you can see that. I started with a big old lump here, stretched it down, and then had it cross like that. So big old lump. If you want to start the opposite way, you certainly can. You can stretch it across here straighter and then have it grow into a bigger lump from there, completely up to you. And then from there, you scribble a little bit of a sandy beach on the bottom. And again, it doesn't really take too much of the paper. Sometimes it helps people to like measure in terms of their hand. So my hand here, it takes about that much of my hand. It stops right where my thumb starts right there. So if that helps you, then please use your hand. So it's about the middle there. I'm going to start on the bottom part, stretch it out a little bit, build up from there. There's one lump, two lump, bigger lumps. Almost looks like a cloud, actually. I've got plenty of space for a sky, plenty of space for an ocean. And then after that, come down here and just sort of make like a sandy beach that kind of winds down like this. Again, not looking for perfection. And to prove my point, I'm going to go ahead and scribble. Scribble, squiggle. All I did. Scribble, squiggle, a little bit of black right there. Give me a thumbs up if you're ready to move on, if you can. All right, cool. Got one person. If your screen is off, that's okay. Don't worry about don't worry about turning your screen on. Perfect. Now we're going to do the more fun portion of our beach. Let's make our little palm trees. So I have 3 of them sticking out, but please feel free to put in as many as you like or as little as you like, completely up to you. Palm tree trunks, they tend to, at least these types, this variety, tends to bend upward. So I'm going to keep that in mind when I do this one. I'll start out little. I'll do my smallest one from there. So my smallest one kind of bends out one line from the center there or wherever. And then I'm just going to vaguely and gently put in a few more lines to make it look a little bit bigger, a little bit thicker. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen any, I don't know, clip art of fireworks, but when I start out palm trees, they look just like fireworks. And in fact, you'll be able to see that whenever I do this, but I thicken them up just a little bit. Really, I look at them as fireworks, that's all. So I start in the middle, if it helps you. So there's a little space between the trunk here, little space between the trunk and where I start the middle of my palm tree. If it helps you, put a dot there. That dot may help you. You don't have to though. And then from my dot, or from my center, let's make some branches. 1, 2, 3, 4. They kind of get a little bit shorter on some spots. Perhaps the leaves aren't very long. I'd say 5 or 6 of those firework, what do you call them? Not the best with words. They're like the veins of the leaf. That's what it is. Starfish. Yeah, starfish. So that's what that is. And I very loosely, vaguely made and very them a little thicker. And I did this, I think I usually start with the biggest one. So kind of like that. So the ones that are off to the side, usually you can see more of a side profile. So they're going to be thicker in that perspective. The ones that are at the top here and at the bottom, top and bottom, they're usually going to be thinner because of the perspective. So I can do that next. A little bit thinner. And then the other ones just kind of fall somewhere in between. Like that. And after you've just sort of seen the spaces in between, you're more than welcome to add another one later on if you want to. Say maybe if you think you have a little more space to add another leaf there, you certainly can. And anytime you're ready to do palm tree number 2, palm tree number 3, or less or more, you can start that now. So you're more than welcome to do that. I'm just going to walk you through how to do it again, but you totally don't have to keep up with me. And everybody's going to be different, but I happen to have a little lump here, and this lump right here looks like it could be very well suited to another palm tree. Just very lightly put another tree right there. I thickened it up a little bit. I start up here with my dot again, because I always need the dots. Fan them out. I'm going to aim for maybe 6 again, or 7. I have space for 7. So I just kind of flung them out like that. And then I start on the leaves that face the side, because those are going to be the thickest because of perspective. The 2 that are vertical, or at least mostly vertical, kind of vertical, Those are going to be a little bit thinner. And then everything else just falls into place in between. Now, completely optional, you don't have to, but if you wanted to, you could scribble some lines in the middle. So this is kind of what I did here. Very loosely, just scribble some lines. That way it looks more like a silhouette. So it's darker, sort of hazy because it's the sea. There's probably a lot of wind blowing in the distance, hence the haziness, the looseness of the crayons. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going with the shape of my leaves. So elongated. Flinging them out from the center. That's how I like to do these things. So I'll give you guys another minute to finish up the palm trees, and then I'll show you how to do the sands.
To say something that you've always said to me is that nature is not symmetrical.
Yes.
And that is very true.
Yes, absolutely. And I like to think of that a lot when I'm doing any kind of tree, any sort of flower. There's always going to be a petal that's missing. There's always going to be like a scraggly part here and there. And I feel like it works out so well with drawing as well, because I never would have healed myself, or at least started that mental healing process from MS had I not realized that everything is imperfect, nothing is perfect. And the same applies to nature. So why shouldn't it apply to my art as well? Because this is my handwriting. This is me. I'm pouring myself into this work. So why isn't it going to be imperfect? And there's beauty in that. I hope there's a little bit of wisdom in there. Now I'm going to do the sand dunes. This happens to be my favorite part of this painting, and I'll give you like a close-up here. What I did was I started from the top of my two biggest lumps. So for this picture, it happens to be this one and this one. Started from the top and then just sort of work my way up and down, and then pick up my crayon and do the same thing with the other one. Work my way up and down. If you'd like to practice that in the air, you certainly can. So I have a couple little lumps here. So up and down, up and down, up and down. Like that. If you'd like me to repeat it again, I can actually go over my lines again. So let me do that if you missed it. Start from the bottom, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, like that. Would anyone like to show off their islands for a quick second? No, that's okay. Ooh, all of you guys. Alexa, that's awesome.
Oh,
wow, John. I know.
Look
Look at that. I know. And Kim, that's beautiful. You guys totally went for the 3 palm trees. I love it. Brian, that's so awesome. Look how full your leaves are. I love that. I love it. Thank you guys for sharing. Seriously, really good. Oh, yay, Karen! I love it. And I love that you're using your pad too. That's awesome. Your lines in the sand dunes, those are really good. Very cool. Right.
Detailed
I'm
oriented.
I haven't used this since the last
that's
time,
okay.
so I'm trying to figure
Yeah.
out, wait, what is that? This says a crayon, this one says a brush, and this says watercolor. I was like, oh,
hmm Yeah, your different settings. Yeah, I would say we're about to do the watercolor portion now. So if you want to familiarize yourself now, go ahead. I am gonna actually reach into my bin back here. I have a bin of paints. And I'm just gonna grab my colors. So I got my purple. So just a little repeat. Purple, pink, orange, a light blue, which for me, I happen to have like a kind of like an aqua blue. I love the color aqua. And an optional darker blue. So kind of like that. And just so you guys can see it up close, I'll go ahead and start to pour it out now.
With our colored
Whenever you
pencils,
start,
people. Sorry, Hannah. With our colored pencil people, do you need a alternative color palette? Do you have those colors, or do you need a different color? Are there other colors that someone could use with this, Hannah?
yes,
With their backdrop?
actually, yeah. I would say yellow's a really good one, since yellow and pink, they blend really well. Yellow and red, if you have red. I would say if it looks like a warm color, it would be good. So red, orange, yellow. What else? Yeah, there's all sorts of combinations. So if you have your color pencils and you'd like some suggestions, please let me know. Like, I'd be more than happy to look it up for you. And that reminds me, I might actually, if I have my color pencils here, I might actually be able to do that with you. At the very least, my color pencil people, I'd like to at least show you how I layer colors. So I'll do that just, real quick. That way you guys have like an idea of how to do it. You're not just left in the dark. So I did find some colored pencils. They happen to be right next to me. So I was very lucky. I will go ahead and pour my paints out so you guys can see. And I do want to give an adequate amount of space in between each color. We're not going to need like too much color, mostly because we're going to be watering them down. Hence the reason I want to have a good amount of space in between the colors. Want plenty of space for that water to spread a little bit. And again, we won't need too much, and you can always pour some colors back back onto the plate if you need more. There we go. So I'm just going to let that sit for a bit while I show my color pencil people how to layer. When you're using color pencil, and actually this rule kind of applies to watercolors too. Like it's layering in thin layers is the best way to go, because you want to have room to grow. You want to have room to add more color. So you do that by doing thin layers, and with watercolor, that means more water than color. But with color pencil, that means pressing down lightly. So here's lightly, and also you can start to crisscross as well. I did all of that. in one stroke. And then crisscrossing, that definitely helps with adding the color and layering the color on top. So I'm using the same color, crisscross the opposite direction, like that. Now, there's a reason my little color blob looks like a blob, and that's because it sort of mimics the kinds of shapes that we have in the background. See that? Or around some of these colors. Think of dusk, like the layers and the fog in the distance. It's making all the colors sort of blend together. And the same can happen with your colors as well. So like I mentioned earlier, you can follow along using the same colors that we're on as well with the acrylics. So I have here pink, and I just want to show you what pink looks like when layered. Press down lightly. Crisscross. That's going to add another layer to it. We have some of those ASMR sounds that Alexa mentioned earlier. Some people love the sound of the pencil against the paper. I'm one of those people. I love that. So that was just to give you an idea of what that looks like with the layering. Right here, you can kind of see how the blue looks when overlapped with the orange. So if you work lighter, you can always come back later and press down harder in some spots. So right here, I am pressing down harder with my blue, coming back over it with my blue. Like that. So that was my short little introduction to the color pencil. And now let's do some acrylics. So with the coloring here, I'm going to go ahead and start off with my light blue. Here, is that a little better? I'm going to start off with my light blue. And again, for all of these colors, I'm going to be watering them down a little bit first on my paper plate. So water them down a little bit. I'm going to be using my paintbrush, if I can find it, using my paintbrush to spread the color. And once I get into the sky, which is going to be where I'm going to be heading, I'm going to be heading upwards from there. And in the sky, I'm going to be a little bit more loose. Like, I'm not going to stay straight like that. I'm going to be moving using my wrist. My brush strokes are going to be a little more curved. And eventually, I'm going to jump into, I'll probably do pink next. Then I'll probably jump into purple. And then lastly, orange. That part's going to be the scariest part because it's the brightest color here, but it's also the most beautiful, and it looks just amazing layered on top of these other colors. Keep in mind, I'm going to leave a space for my orange to peek through. And if you missed all of that, I'm going to repeat it as I go, so it's okay. I even have some orange down here too, and it looks like I even spread it like close to the water surface there too. So without further ado, got my water. I have my paintbrush. As mentioned, I'm going to start with blue, light blue to be specific. I have a lot of water on my brush, and I'm going to put some down onto my palette here. And I'm just going to scrape a little bit off to the side. We're looking for a watery consistency. Sometimes I like to compare my water consistencies with soup or like juices or something. And mine is very, very watery, like not even the consistency of canned soup, canned chicken soup. It's lighter than that. I even added more water to it. And the reason I'm bringing it out here is just because I want to add even more water to it. And now, see how it's like kind of dripping off the side there? That's the kind of consistency we want.
So
I'm going to take my
Hannah,
paint.
using the liquid and soup metaphor here, mine is kind of like a hot chocolate made with water. Is that what I'm going
Oh,
for? Or do I need it
you're
thinner?
going for thinner. Yes. So I would try and
Okay.
set aside some of your hot chocolate with water, maybe off to the side here, and then add more water to that pile of hot chocolate. That way you're not thinning out. You're not trying to make a bigger puddle. You're just trying to make a separate, more watery puddle.
Can I ask you? I mean, I can see it, but I
Mhm.
can't put it. I can't take it from that to what kind of blue is that? Because
It's more of an aqua.
right. Okay.
Like I see the difference like on the camera. On the camera, it looks a lot darker for you guys, but it's more of a bright blue to me. I hope that helps.
Yeah, because I have a color palette that has all the things you're. It gives me choices of different color palettes, and it
Yeah,
was. I got the
yeah,
purple, the yellow, the orange, the black. So I was like, okay, but wait, my
yeah.
blue's different. What's different about it? So
Yeah, you were like all set to go, and now it's the blue you have to look at.
well, your
But
blue is
yeah,
nice.
it's more, thank you. It's called Bimini Blue. Some of you can see that. I just felt like the word Bimini just sounds so tropical.
Oh, really? It sounds bad. It was kind of like a racist term. When I used to be in the Catskill Mountains, so I was like,
What?
don't say that.
Wow.
Not
I'm gonna
Bimini,
have to
but I'm not. I
contact
don't even want to
Apple
say the
Barrel.
word, but it's very similar. But I was like, what?
That's wow. Now I have my my soupy consistency. Alexa, how's yours looking? Is yours a
I'm
little
happy
more
to
watered
report
down?
I have a thinner than hot chocolate made with water.
Okay, perfect. That's what we want then. Like if it can roll off your palette, then I think you're doing good. Okay. Now I'm gonna start by the seaside, by the seashore, and I'm gonna start to go back and forth on my paper. So right here, and I'm gonna take a leap of faith and go right on top of my crayon, just like that. Now I did run out of paint pretty quickly, so I'm gonna go back and grab some more. Back and forth, horizontal brush strokes. Back and forth, back and forth. And it's totally okay if your paintbrush doesn't go off the edge here. I feel like it adds a little bit more to that loose painterly feel. Go down here. Now I'm not going to go all the way down. I'm going to save a little bit of that for later. for when I add that darker blue. And save some space for that dark blue. Personally, I need to make a little bit more of my watery blue, so I'm going to do that. I want to have plenty of watery blue for when I move up into my sky. And I'm going to show you a technique that you may want to utilize in case your lines become hard. Like they're kind of hard and they're not watery, they're not watered down, they're pretty thick. I can show you how to actually water them down. So I've made some more, and I'm just going to go for more of those like curvy brush strokes up here. And I'll show you. I'm going to start up here. Another leap of faith right there. Curvy brush stroke. Here's what happens if you have too much paint. Oh no, too much paint right there. What am I going to do? I'm going to grab some water straight from my cup. I'm gonna work kind of quickly, and I'm gonna go straight on top of that. And because of the location of where it is, I can just kind of spread it down with my horizontal brush strokes. It just depends on you and where you're at. And even at any point, if you'd like to water down any portion of it, you can always do so. Again, think of that dusky feel. It's gonna be like I envision a lot of mist in the background. It blurs everything out. It sort of like makes the colors come together much more easily. See, everybody's concentrating. Woohoo. And just so you guys know, I will be moving into pink next. So I'm going to be working on this side. And I didn't mention earlier, but I probably should mention, if there's any one color that you'd like to see more of, feel free to add more of that color too. Like you definitely don't have to like stick to the proportions that you see here. So if you like more purple in your sky, feel free to add that or whatever. Now, when I do add my my pink, I'm going to save some space down here, or anywhere really. I'm going to save a lot of space for my orange. Because remember, that's going to come much later. Anytime you're ready to move on, you can start to mix some water in with your pink. So again, we're going for the same consistency, very like Campbell's chicken noodle soup, but the non-condensed kind, like with the water added to it. There we go. Now, little reminder, any of my color pencil people, feel free to interrupt me if you have a question. Take your time with layering those colors.
I can't remember.
Now, with my pink.
We're going over the sand dune, right, with the color?
Exactly. See that? I went right on top of everything that was in my way. How you doing over there, Kim? Cool, cool. I saw like of course I can't see your piece, but I can see that you're like working on top of a surface. So I saw you really into it. You made me very proud. Now, let's go for pink. Now, if you'll look here, you'll see that most of my pink is in this general area. Wherever you want the most of your pink to be, start in that area. So for me, the middle of this area is going to be right here. So I'm going to start right here. So the most of your pink, and then we're going to work our way out from that starting point. So got my pink here. Gonna go for those horizontal brush strokes. Again, going on top of everything. And there may come a time where you're going to have to crisscross your blue. Go for it. See, I love the way that pink mixes with the blue to make some purple. Now, I'm starting to see, at least for mine, I'm starting to see some brush strokes that are a little bit harder. If you see some of those harder brush strokes that are not very like flowy or watery, you can always go back over it with some water. Just plain old water. Spread it that way. You can make it light. You can always add more paint on top of it. And that's kind of the nice thing about watercolors, is that you can always go over and add more. The only thing is you can't really like erase anything. You can't really subtract anything. And that's exactly why we start off lighter. I still have some space. Have some space for my orange down here. So I'm going to leave that open. I can't wait to see how they look. Now I will be moving into purple after this, just so you know. Has anyone here painted before? I'm just curious. I know Kim and Karen were at the last thing, the last get together that we had. I would count that painting, Karen. I think I would count that because it's making art and you're still using your hand-eye coordination to do something. So
I
I'd
wouldn't
count
call that
it.
experience.
I would. I think I would. I liked
I
the
say it
layers of the
counts.
colors that you
Yeah.
did. hmm
You'll like this too. And I'm with my
Yeah, I can't
non-dominant
wait to see
hand.
it.
I mean, I used to be right-handed and I haven't learned how to use my left hand. So it's really doing something.
Wow.
It's really doing something. I don't use my left hand.
Yeah.
So I would learn how to use it. But after the last time, I liked it, but I just didn't venture out on my own.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's really cool that you're using your left hand. And I know you don't have a choice,
Right.
unfortunately.
Yeah, but
But
I could have a choice not to paint.
that's true. That is true. You could not be painting with us. I used to like when I was younger, when I was in school, I used to kind of show off, I guess, by using my left hand, and I would always say like tell the other kids, "Oh, I can draw with my left hand," that kind of thing. So I got some practice when I was much younger.
You also
Very
know what
cool.
you're doing.
Yeah, there is that. I had practice with my right hand, so I think that counts for something. Now, I am going to move on to purple. Now, am I going too fast for anybody? It's okay, I can slow down if not. Okay, cool. Right. So purple. Now I chose to put purple in the corner because it's much further up in the sky, much higher. Of course, the colors are going to be darker up there. So same process, same everything. Water them down. Except this time I'm going to put a lot of purple in that corner. So right up here. I actually use the same technique or the same order of colors, I would say, when I'm doing like galaxy paintings or anything having to do with the sky. That's kind of how I will layer them. Sometimes I'll even put navy blue up there, which is another option. If you wanted to put navy blue up there, it would totally make sense. I do have to say that there's something very liberating about being able to freely put the brush strokes and the paint on the paper
I concur.
without having to worry too much about where exactly you need to go. Yeah, it took me a long time to wrap my head around that because I used to be like I had been an artist my whole life, and I strove for realism. And I'm not bragging, but I was pretty good at it, and I was pretty good at being able to get proportions down just right and shading in things exactly the way they needed to be shaded in, with limits. I had my limits, of course, but I could never sort of reach beyond that. And somehow something clicked when I got MS. Like, I think it was that idea that I didn't need to be perfect, and nobody needed to love it except for me. And I think that's kind of what really did it for me. And that's why I continue to do art in this capacity too, because it's very liberating to do something this way.
The same can be for music because I don't know, I decided I wanted to play the piano. It was like saying, well, I'd like to be an astronaut or a brain surgeon. It's not something I always wanted to, that I felt like I could.
Okay.
And then my
Yeah.
teacher, and she goes, what do you want to do? I go, I don't know. And she taught me how to improvise. It's like using,
Oh.
the freedom. And then I met this woman who was from the Bronx, but she went to Russia and she was trained in the conservatory, and so she could just do everything perfect. And she was like, I can't believe you can just do that. The same thing, like she's so classically trained, and it's like,
Yeah.
you can just let your fingers fly.
Yeah. And I like that phrasing, just let your fingers fly. Like, I think the same can be this said for art too. It's kind of like you're letting your wrist fly, you're letting your elbow fly. If your wrist can't fly, or if your fingers don't feel like they can fly, then let your wrist do a little bit of the work, and then you can fly. Yeah, that was beautiful. You guys ready to add some orange? It's my favorite part. Kim's ready. Alexa's ready.
So what do you call your so-called purple? It looks
So
like
this
a
one up here,
berry. It looks like a blueberry. A berry, not a blueberry, some kind of a berry, right?
yeah, it looks like a berry, but it's regal purple,
Hmm.
which I would expect to be a bit more on the bluer spectrum of purple, but it's lovely anyway.
Yeah.
Regal. Now I'm gonna get my orange. The orange is nice because it's called jack-o'-lantern orange. All right. So the orange is pretty blobby. Like there's really no rhyme or rhythm to it. It's just I had a lot of orange that I need to put in there, so let's just blob it in there. So I did. So once again, my largest portion of orange, I kind of want it to be in here, and I also want it to spread into here on this side because that's blank. So once again, just putting those brush strokes on top of everything that's there. On top of the blue, on top of the pink, the purple. Personally, I feel like it could be thinned out a bit more. So that's exactly what I'm doing. I put that water straight onto there, onto the paper. Thinning it out. I'm adding, even though there's no white space over here, I'm still spreading it and moving it towards the other side. I wanted it to meet this little tiny section here. So I did just that. I am adding water right on top of my paper, and I'm spreading everything that is wet. I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out in this general section. No, I like that. Alexa, I just noticed you're using a canvas. I love that. I can't believe I just saw that.
Yes, I would like
It
to
looks like
hang this up and remember wonderful time that I had with everybody.
Aw. It looks like a big canvas too. Is that like 11 by 4? Oh, okay, it's a square canvas. Cool.
It's square, uh-huh.
Yeah. 14 by 14. I just want to see if I got it right.
Yeah, I think it's 14 by 4. You're always good at this. If there was a game show, Guess the Palette, Hannah would be a reigning champion.
Honestly, it's like a little puzzle that I like to give myself. And I think I'm just used to like picking out the canvas sizes that I need, that I'm just like, oh, hey, that's 14 by 14. That's 11 by 14. That's 26 by 36. It's just
Oh,
fun.
that's too much math.
Yeah, it's numbers. It's all right. Now I'm ready for our last color when you are. Want to be the dark blue. Now that dark blue will be way at the bottom there. I want you guys to see that. Now, if you need to improvise and make another color that's darker, you can certainly do that. And in fact, even if you have like a green of some sort, that would still look really good with this too. Like if you didn't have a dark blue, a green would look good. A purple would look good, especially if you mix the purple with your light blue. That would be amazing. Pink would also be good as well. And honestly, like I'm looking at my sunset and I kind of feel like even orange would be okay with it if you really needed to. But I have blue, so I'm gonna do that. Now for this part, it's much easier actually because we have a lot of those horizontal lines. And I started on the bottom of the page and I worked my way up with the blue lines. And again, our paint is very, very well watered down to the point where like it sort of is the same consistency as the light blue. So it's kind of mixed in a little bit, or at least it looks like it's mixed a little bit. So on the bottom, doing the same thing that I did before, and I'm adding water on right on top of it. It's really that water that helps with a lot. Something I forgot to mention about why I actually like to use watercolors as well as, like, as somebody who has a chronic illness, watercolors are one of those mediums that you can utilize and use to work for you. So you don't actually need to know too many techniques. You can let the colors move on their own. So you use the water to guide the colors where they're going to go. And they're going to go where they're going to go, unless you guide them, of course. But for the most part, if you just wanted to take a little bit of time to look at colors mixing together on their own, it'll look beautiful no matter what. So just thought I'd just throw that up there in case you want to play around with colors a little bit more.
Hannah, totally asking for a friend here, but when you just said that, you can make watercolors work for you, can I help train watercolors to like do practical things like the laundry or get groceries for me? Because I don't know, when you said that, my interest was piqued.
I know. Can you go to the store for me, please? Maybe.
Can you pick up my prescriptions?
You might have to bribe it a lot. There may be a lot of bribing involved, but maybe. So, we ready to show off our pieces yet? No.
I can't get my blue is just being purple, so I'm just gonna, no matter what I do, and it's obviously, you can't advise me on the tablet, it looks like blue, but when I do it, it's just being more purpley. Because I'm adding more black to make it darker.
Kim, that's so nice.
I think it was,
Oh, man.
since I'm doing cardboard, I think it sucked up a lot of the water, so it made it a little bit harder. I always try to come in with, a issue, whether dried up paints from last time. Then obviously the background's brown instead of white, so I'll probably get an actual canvas next time.
I didn't see very much brown, at least from my perspective. Like, I don't see it. Like, I see the blue, like the blue took up a lot of the color. But other than that, like, I think I can kind of see what you're saying about the water absorbing, or the water being absorbed by the cardboard. But even so, you managed to do the brush strokes really well in the sky. It curved the way they needed to curve. So I think you got it. It worked out anyway.
Thinking about it, Hannah, I haven't actually painted, like really painted, since 8th grade art class. So that's been like 20, 25 years,
Oh man. Well, it's never too late to pick it up, and you got the brush strokes just right. So do 5 more. Alexa. Oh, you're drawing it. I thought you were showing it. You'll get there.
Ooh.
Ooh, look at that. That's
Ooh.
fancy.
I
Look
sort
at
of
that.
had the sky falling over here, like there's like some potential rainstorms. So that
I
that
was
was my
seeing that.
inspiration.
It looked like the clouds are a little bit closer and it's a lot more clear in the distance. So you can kind of see that contrast.
Yes. Thank you, Anna. Thank you. That is exactly
Meant,
what I was going for.
meant to do that.
I totally.
Yeah. Oh, I
Who
know
else
you
would like
did.
to share?
Okay, it's not. Let's see if I can make it.
Oh yeah.
There we go.
But
Oh,
I can't get
that
that
looks
dark
so
blue on the
good.
bottom. I don't know why it's. I don't know why it's coming out purple. Because I can make the
Ah.
opacity and the
Mm-hmm.
thickness. So I started to add the
Mm-hmm.
turquoise, like, because I'm unhappy with that blue. Like, what should I do with the turquoise?
Okay. I would say with the turquoise, bring it down a little bit lower, perhaps a few more of the turquoise brushstrokes, intermingling with that blue some more. I think that would help to mesh it together. But other than that, like everything else, like the layering, it turned out really well.
No, amazing. This is you. You're
The
now. I'm channeling you.
It looks very textury. Like it feels like you can feel the waves.
And I can. And
yeah,
I
I was
can
thinking that
erase.
too.
I can erase. But I haven't too much.
That's good. That's really great.
I
John,
just,
would you like
I
to
just like
share?
that. I just like that dark blue on the bottom, and I just can't seem to get it.
Ooh, that's pretty
Oh
Yeah.
my
too.
God,
Oh,
John, that
John.
looks so
And you,
good.
I know. And you added additional colors too. Look at that.
Oh, that's a beautiful palette.
I
Oh, that
know.
looks so good.
I like
That's
your oranges
very,
so much. I was trying to get some more orange, and I like that.
it worked out. It worked out
I
really
love
well.
it.
I feel like I should, with that piece of scenery, I should have like some sort of pineapple drink with me. Like maybe like a
Yeah,
drink inside of a pineapple with a little
and
umbrella
a
on it.
pineapple.
Yeah, in the pineapple. Yeah. I love it. You did really good, John.
Thank you.
Bri Brian, would
Yeah,
you like
John
to
did. You
show
did
us?
great.
Sure, I hope you can see it. It's kind of light, but
Yeah.
Mm.
There you go.
Oh,
You know what?
yeah.
I see like the pink, like
Awesome.
the
What
bands
color?
of color. Yeah, that's really pretty. And I love your palm trees too. I can see you gave them a little bit of depth too.
mhm.
Nice work. Yay, you did it.
What
I love
colors did you
that.
use in that one?
I used all the ones. I used orange and pink and purple and the dark blue and the light blue. I used everything that you guys were using.
Yeah, I could see the orange pretty well back there too. Very cool. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
You know what this reminds me of? I've done, like, visual arts are not my thing. Performing arts, yeah. Writing, okay. Music, but not visual. But sometimes, I'll go in a writing workshop and you get these prompts. It's like, here's your palette. Here's your
Mm,
colors. Here's your palette. Because, we all have the palm tree. We all have
yeah,
the sand dunes. We all have, and then you just see what people do within that, with those words, with those images. So
with
it's
those
cool.
parameters.
Yeah.
I think that's my favorite part about teaching is that you all hear me the same way, but it gets translated a little bit differently through your hand. And that's what I love about it. Ashley, would you like to share? If not, that's okay.
Ashley was watching tonight and she's planning on making one very
Mm.
soon.
Yeah, I was just
Oh,
watching
very cool.
today.
Yeah, you get
She
the
took the
preview. You get to like
ASMR
absorb it
route
all in.
today.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I do really love like the sound of like a paintbrush that's being like a dry brush, like where there's not very much water being like scraped against the paper, things like that. Very cool. You guys did so well. I really am proud that you guys came. You
Everybody
showed up
did
today.
amazing.
Yes, you showed up and you did it. Like you guys did a painting that I hope that you guys will be able to like hang up or display or something, or at least come back to it just to give yourselves a little reminder of something that you did. Because it's your work. Like part of the I guess growth and healing process is just to be able to look at what you've done and be proud of the fact that you did something. You actually did it.
We could take pictures and send them to you.
Yeah, I love that.
Yes, that's what I was gonna
Absolutely.
say. So, at our MS event, I think is actually Karen's idea that on our website we can have a gallery. So I'm working with our
Really?
webmaster to get a gallery of all of our art. So if you would send me a copy, even you, Ashley, when you get yours done, if you would send me a picture of what you did to Alexa at ancan.org, I'm putting it in the chat. We are going to put it up on the website and have it on a gallery, and we would love to feature yours. I mean, these belong in an actual gallery. I'm sorry, Ancan's gallery is the best I can do for you right now, because all these belong into like one of those fancy galleries. But this is all I can do right now. We have a little bit of time left. I was curious if
Yeah.
anybody, because Hannah is an artist and she has MS. I wanted to give everyone an opportunity if you wanted to ask some art related questions, because Hannah wants to make art very adaptable. And if you just had any general art questions, she could answer.
Yeah, even if you don't have MS, like
Well, my
any sort
question
of
is,
Even if
when are
you
condition.
we
don't,
doing this again? That's my question.
Oh,
What's the question?
Pam,
When are we doing this
that's
again?
a
When are
great
we meeting
question.
Oh,
again?
I always say if you really like something, email Rick, let him know how much you like it. I will also email Rick and talk to him and tell him how much everyone likes it. And Hannah and I are working, we will say this, we're working on trying to make this become a more permanent fixture. That
Yes.
sounds
yes.
mysterious.
Yes.
I like
Two
that.
thumbs up for that
It
one.
does.
Make it permanent.
We're
I know.
working on it.
I
I'm
can
super
totally
excited.
testify as, the art phobia. So, I'm surprised, like, why didn't more people come? I guess it's like somebody saying, "Come, will you sing?" Most people are like, "No."
Oh, yes, actually, I can completely 100% relate to that one.
So I think that's like with art. It's like, no, I can't do art. No, I can't do art.
Yeah.
Um, Hannah, there's a question in the chat from Ashley. Do you
Yeah.
recommend a website that does beginner painting tutorials?
Oh, beginner painting tutorials. That's kind of a tough one too, because a lot of like some of them they might say that they're beginner and I'll look at them and they're like not beginner. So
So you're
is
telling
it okay
me
if
that
I
you have
email you?
fact checked these.
I have. Like I can look at them and I can look at like the way they're holding their brush, I can tell that's not a beginner way to do things. So I'd like to get back to you on that, Ashley. You're more than welcome to like email me or email Alexa too. Because I don't have any specific websites, but if there's a particular kind of imagery that you like to explore, I'd be happy to like find something for you. Something that I know that you're going to be able to do,
Hannah,
you know?
I will email introduce you and Ashley. I'll make that
Yeah,
happen.
that sounds good. Putting my email in here anyway, like for anybody to have. There. Yeah, I because I mentioned already that I used to be very much a realist. Like I that's what I strived for. I strived to get the proportions down, everything correctly. And so I think that was a great lesson for me because I was able to I guess sort of like nitpick at everything that everybody else was doing and other people's artwork, and I'd be able to tell if they took a shortcut or something, which is not a bad thing. Like it's that phrase. There's a certain phrase that comes to mind: "Work smarter, not harder," and that also applies to art too.
Yeah, but if you're
So yeah,
not paying, if you're not
Hannah,
critiquing, you're not going to get better. Like I like to
it's
go
true.
to, I like to go to theater and think about, well, what did I like? What didn't I like? That worked, that didn't work. So it's not
That is
being,
true.
it's not being a bitch.
That is true though. Like I love the critiquing process too. Were you gonna say something, Alexa?
Hannah, I yes, I think a really good question we could ask everybody is what project would you like to see next? It could be what medium, like colored pencils, painting, whatever, or it could be what you would like to do. Because we did a beach setting today.
Hmm.
We would love to know. We're all
Yeah.
ears.
Like if there's any sort of medium that you've always wanted to try, like please
Here
tell us.
I kept making it
Oh,
more. I tried to get
Karen.
the green.
Yeah, yeah, and I can see a little bit of what you did on the bottom there, and I see the green too.
Yeah, I was trying to get the
Is it
green, but
green? Yeah. It looks really good. Like I love
color,
the contrast of colors too.
some of it is just not knowing how to use this medium.
Mm,
Like
may take a little bit more practice.
I'm really grateful because I wouldn't have done this. I didn't. I haven't done it since.
Think that's why we need to have another one.
Exactly.
Like, mm-hmm.
I like
Yeah, like
using
I can.
paints because I never use paint, so it's always a medium I'm never using. So then I feel more creative using paints
Mm,
versus like pencils and markers.
pencils.
Paint's just a whole nother
Yeah.
movement
So Ken,
versus
do you have anything you'd like to paint?
Oh no.
I like to keep it abstract because the
Fountains.
realism is not where I don't have the expertise to do anything
I
real.
have a
No
feeling that
Renaissance
something
romantic, but
Alaskan-y,
Oh.
something Alaskan-y.
Ooh. What
oh
if
yeah,
we
you
did?
gotta make my moose look better. My moose are stuck in like third or fourth grade.
Your
My
moose.
dear,
To
it's
be
pretty sad.
fair, to be fair, they're strange creatures. I I spent like a too much time trying to like draw mooses in particular because they're so weird. Their snouts are just like they're very elongated and their eyes are like very very far apart and set down on their face a little bit more than you would expect. And it's just there's something about like moose, I guess moose, it's not mooses. Um, that's very strange. So I do not blame you at all. They're fun to draw anyway.
John, do you have any requests?
No, no, I think that Alaska's good. Maybe Wyoming or something like that along those lines. I was just thinking, but Alaska's good.
Yeah. Yeah, like that whole landscape is beautiful.
Right.
Never been to Alaska, but I've been to Wyoming and I love the scenery so much. Um, what if we did
And you've been to
the trees?
Washington.
Hmm. Washington, I've been to Wyoming, Colorado, New Mexico, of course, Oregon. Yeah, I think I've been most of those places. But the trees there are just gorgeous, and um, have an idea of maybe we can paint some trees, like some of those evergreen trees, perhaps.
Mhm.
No, so that might be a really pretty picture. It might be a bit more specialized, though. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, if there's anything else, like, let me know.
I also like under the water scenery, like the wildlife of the sea. I always like that. I like
Yeah.
scuba dive too, so I'm a little biased.
I like the
No,
underwater better than the trees. Yeah. I mean, I've been to Montana and it's beautiful, but it's cold.
Mm.
I like the southern, the water.
The heat, the heat.
So do you like corals or fish, or what particularly do you like underwater?
Oh, just the idea. I mean, I don't like being in the mountains, so
Mm.
those trees but it doesn't, this is just about process, so it doesn't really matter. But since we're weighing in, and now I'm seeing, I can't figure out, I'm seeing my draft that I
Yeah.
have a whole bunch of white space and I could go back to it and I'm like, but I can't figure out how to go back to it.
Oh, that's interesting. Does your tablet measure the pressure of your fingers and how hard you press down?
No, yeah, it has that, but it's like, I mean, this has everything I've ever done, which was with you. And then
That's
I'm seeing
awesome.
on top, there's that white, this white area. So I was like, oh, okay, I could still work on it. I could take a draft of it.
Yeah.
I don't know how to
Yeah.
do it. Anyway, it's fun.
It may be like maybe you can
I
layer.
think Kim is doing a photo shoot. So I don't know if we need to give her background music or something, but I think Kim
Hmm.
is in progress.
Oh, I'm taking the photo for you. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. You might have to crop it out a little bit on the sides. I'll let you worry about that one.
Sure. Okay, everyone. Well, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming. To those of you on the recording, I'm so glad that you were able to spend time with us as well. Hannah, thank you so much for doing this for us again. We love you so much at Ancan. You're a great moderator. You're a great artist, and you offer so much to our community. And I hope to see each and every one of you at your respective support groups. And we're going to continue keeping on what we do and making sure nobody ever has to go through anything alone. So thank you, Hannah. Thank you, everyone, for coming. And this is recorded. We'll post it on the website. And please email me, alexa@ancan.org, with pictures of your beautiful artwork so we can post it on our gallery. And we will
Yes.
keep you updated about any future projects we do. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thanks so
Thank you,
much.
Alexa. Thank you for
You.
having me.